Hey, welcome back everybody. I'm Kurt from Vaughn Precision, and today we're going to talk about neck turning, and specifically we're going to be using the RCBS neck turning tool. So, let's take a look. Okay, so before we jump into how we put all this together, there's kind of a real common question out there is, does neck turning actually improve the accuracy of load development? And the short answer is absolutely, hands down, it does. So I took the liberty of drawing this fine picture for everybody. And if you were looking down into the case mouth, um, and you took measurements, which we did actually, in fact, on this particular 308 case right here, I measured that and I got 14 thousandths on one side and 16 thousandths on the other side. So you can imagine what this would do when you shove it up into a reloading die, especially like a neck bushing die and stuff, where you're trying to get the tension on that neck just right. And you can introduce run out in this case if you're shoving something that's not true up into something that is true. So this one here, low side 14, high side 16. Now, if you bought a big bag of brass or box of brass or whatever, you'd want to take a handful out and start measuring them, and you want to find the low side across that selection of brass that you're measuring. And I just happen to have just a couple shot pieces of this, so this is what we're using. But so 14 is our low side. Now, that is, picture this, when you're shooting or when you're reloading, you've got your case, you've got a nice straight case, a mouth, you've got your barrel. It's basically, it's a circle and a circle and a circle. And if you get any of those circles off a little bit, things don't come out right, and it can really throw rounds off. So it is really important to turn these necks down. The other thing is, if you have a thinner wall on one side and a thicker wall on the other side, when this case is fired, the thin side expands faster than the thick side, and that can take the bullet and throw it into the rifling at a very slight angle, which throws off accuracy. So not to mention all the run out in the case and stuff that you can introduce into these by not making this neck nice and true. So that being said, let's see how this thing works. Okay, so first thing I want to show you guys is just this wall thickness here. There we're actually just above 16, and we'll just kind of keep working this thing around, coming down to the low side, and there's 14 right there. So this is the case we're going to be turning. Now, we got to assemble this tool. I took it apart on purpose just so I could show you guys how to set this up and put it together. This is these pilots all come in different sizes. This one here is for 30 caliber. This is the one we'll be using. Now, I want to show you something though. This one here is for my 243. Notice how shiny that is compared to the 30 caliber. I've taken a Dremel with a little polishing pad and some rubbing compound, and I've just polished this. It just makes this tool work so much better. This one here is quite rough. It's not bad, it still works, but what I've found is if you get any kind of a little flakes and stuff from the brass down inside here, it chews up the inside of the neck. So you're better to just polish this thing up. It'll just make it run so much smoother. Okay, before we get this tool put together, this piece of brass here, it's been fired once and resized. But what I've done is I've chamfered the inside and the outside of the case mouth, and I take a brush, just a little pipe brush, and I just want to make sure that that neck is nice and clean. So let's get this tool set up. So the first thing we do, you'll notice here is this, these little fingers, these little padded fingers, actually squish down inside this tool here, and this just squishes down on the case and just holds that case. It allows you to turn it over that pilot. So what we're going to do is take our little handheld piece here that just drops in, plug goes over the back, screw that on there, and this piece here is what puts the tension on those fingers. The further you screw it in, you'll see the gaps close up. Okay, so we'll just drop that in there, give that a quick spin, and I just lock it in place. So this is ready to go now. Set that off to the side. Now we've got to get the tool itself set up. You'll notice the cutting die here has a flat side and a rounded side. You always spin the bullet into the flat side. This is the cutting surface. So this pilot slips in the back side here. Little Allen wrench, just snug it up. Now we've got to get this thing set up though. Back that up a little bit. See, right now if I were to cut all the way into that thing, I'd be cutting it up into the shoulder. We want to stay away from that. All we want to do is cut the flat surface of the neck. So what I'm going to do is just move this pilot, put your bullet or the case right up to the end of the pilot there, slide this down. Sometimes it helps to actually get that cutting die turned down just a little bit. And we're going to run this up just to the very, whoops, too far. This is the tricky part. Just to the base of that shoulder, but without getting into the shoulder at all. So right about there. Tighten this down. Just lock that in place. Now, you've got your dial indicator up here, so you can play around with that if you want. But for me personally, what I do is I just start spinning this and just in and out with the brass a little bit, and you're going to start getting contact. You can see a couple lines where it's just barely touched, just barely. So what I'll do now is I'll just move this down about 1/1000 of an inch and come back in here and just take a couple passes with it. Now we've got just a little bit of brass right there on the cutting bit, and you'll notice I'm just making some light contact there. I'm going to come down another 1/1000 and take a few more passes. Now I'm definitely taking some more material off here, and it's important not to take too much at once. See here, if you start to take too much, this spins but the case doesn't, so sometimes you have to just give it a little extra snug. Now we're taking some material off. What I'm going to do here is now I'm going to take my ball caliper and start getting some measurements. So we're at 15, 15. We still got about 1/1000 to go. So back down 1/1000, and we should be able to lock this in. This is going to get us pretty close. I have noticed too, when you lock this in, sometimes if this bit starts to chatter just a little bit, locking this in stops that. Now we're going to go down just a little bit more than that. That didn't touch too much. drop it another thousandths. That's another thing too, when you tighten this, it actually moves that cutting bit a little bit, so it's a little bit deceptive there on the measurements when you have it loose. Now I'm hitting high spots and I can feel the low spots. Grabs hard and then releases. So I know I'm cutting down that high spot. And all I'm looking to do is just make this uniform. Okay, let's take a look. There's 14 and a half, 14 and a half, 14 and a half. There's my 14. So I can pop this loose and just give it just a little bit more, lock it down. Still can feel the high spots and low spots. Okay, now we should be right about where we want to be. 14, spin this 180, 14. Okay, so we've got this nice and cut, and the finish on that is really nice. I just love the way this thing cuts. No grooves, no nothing. We're not into the shoulder. You will feel just a little lip, the last little bit of that of the straight shot of the neck here, just because you remove material. So, but don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. Okay. Okay, so I hope that helps you understand a little bit about how this tool works. And you know, there's a lot of other tools out there that do the same thing. This one has worked great for me. I've had it for several years now. I really like it. There are some really fancy ones. There are some really expensive ones. I have not seen any reason to buy a big fancy one when this seems to work just great. So been very happy with it. One thing I do like about this one, with this nice big heavy cast body on here, you can put this in a vise. Now, I don't recommend smashing it in a vise, but I just clamp it in my vise and just, you know, turn my necks real quick. Now, one important thing is once you turn all your necks, you don't need to don't ever turn the necks again. Just find that low spot, turn the whole bag down to whatever that low spot is, 15, 14 thousandths, 13 thousandths, and then you don't ever have to turn them again. So, so anyways, hey, I hope this helps everybody. Stay tuned. We have a lot more videos coming your way. We're testing all kinds of equipment and a lot more reloading stuff. We still haven't even put a bullet together yet, so we have a lot more to go. So anyways, this will all come out in segments, and hey, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe so you get the notifications, and we will see you shortly. Thanks, everybody.